Today on the Collector Car Auction, we take you to the Tulsa Expo Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma for the Lake Collector Car Auction. 600 cars crossing the auction block. But before they sell, Dave Kinney, auction analyst for Sports Car Market magazine and owner of U.S. Appraisal, inspects some of these classic automobiles.
Now, one of the famous names in American automobiles is Cord. In 1964, the name was revived and they made a car in 8/10 the size of the original car in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. A man named Glenn Prey put that deal together and made quite a few cars with Corvair engines in the back. Later, he sold his business and they upscaled the cars, took the hidden headlights out of them, made this regular style headlight here, and a company named Samco put Ford engines, and in some cases, for 70 of the 400 cars built, they put Chrysler 440 motors in. That's what this car has, a Chrysler 440. So it's got kind of a lightweight car with a fiberglass body, but it's got a big Chrysler engine in it. Really interesting stuff. Now, for the longest time, there was no collector interest in these cars. That's changed now. There's more collector interest in these cars, and more of these cars are being restored for people who want to drive them, keep them for a while, and then sell them. So expect to find a few more of these at auction as time goes by. This is one of the first of the Samco cars that I've seen at auction in a long time. By 1970, it was all over for this Cord project. The third in the line, basically, of the 3 manufactured ones, 2 replicas and 1 original. It's a long storied history for Cord, and it ended kind of in a sad way. The factory burned down in 1970, no more cars. This 440 engine car, we're expecting to see somewhere in the range of $15,000 to $25,000. I don't have good experience on these because I haven't seen one come up for sale in quite some time. So it's going to be interesting for me also to see what happens here. Let's go and see what happens when this goes across the block.
15,000. Hello, 16. 16 again.
They've got $15,000 bid now and 16, going all the way up to 19, calling for 20, then 20, then $21,000. Most of them got kind of used up, worn out. Someone spent some money putting this car back together. They've got $20,002 and calling for $20,300. It seems to be stalled there. And still looking for it, but not finding it. Now, keep in mind, our auction today is in Oklahoma, and this is an Oklahoma-built car, maybe some hometown interest. Don't confuse this with an earlier Cord. This has got a much more modern V8 drivetrain in it. And looks like they're going to be pushing it off the stage. $20,200. That looks like it's going to be a no sale. So even though we're in Oklahoma, it's going to stay in Oklahoma at least for a while longer.
David Broker to the auction office, please. David.
You know, not all muscle cars are tremendously expensive, and some of them from other brands other than Ford or Chrysler or General Motors are out there. This is a great example of that on this 1970 AMC Javelin. Now, American Motors isn't around anymore. They became part of Chrysler a little bit later on. But this is a fun car with a lot of cool features to it. Now, it's got the Mark Donohue graphics. Mark Donohue was a very famous race car driver who was associated with these cars. It's got a bunch of fun stuff with the 360 V8 engine. It does have an automatic transmission. Console, the really nice looking wheels, the half vinyl roof, all that kind of fun stuff from the 70s. Now, these cars are still relatively inexpensive, although they have been moving up in the marketplace. I'm expecting somewhere around $13,000, $14,000 for this car, but I think I could be surprised either way. Because if there's somebody sharp enough to realize this car is worth a little bit more, they could pay up for this car and pay a little bit more. Nobody in the house is interested. Well, the AMC cars are not the same as the Mopar cars or the General Motors or the Ford cars. It's a little tougher to take them to the bank every time. So let's see what happens here when this car goes up for sale at the collector car auction.
Thank you, Jimbo.
And kick it in and go.
The 1970 AMC Javelin.
30, you got 5, 10, 5, I got other, now 10, now 10, now 10.
After starting looking for $30,000, they grabbed a $5,000 bid that they quickly got to $10,000. Calling for 15. With $10,000 right now, Ben.
I've got 10, now 12, 5. I've got 10, now 12, 5. Let's lift the reserve. Let's let them know it's for sale. You got 2? 10-1, 10-2, 10-2.
They've lifted the reserve on this car. Immediately got 10-1.
11-250. Got 11 here. 11-250.
Now up at 11,000.
Now 11-250. 11 is the bid. 11-250.
In this particular instance, that really made things move fast.
11-3, 11-4, 11-4, 11-4, 5, 11-5 I got. Now 7-50. Now 12.
11-4. Now 11-5. 11-750. 12,000.
Down 5. At 12-5. The reserve's off. The reserve's off. 3-4. At 12-4.
12,400.
Now 750. 13, I like his style.
Got a little bidding war going on. $13,000. The last bidder jumped it.
13-2. 13-1 bid. The reserve's off. 2-3. At 13-4. 13-4.
13-3 calling for 13-4.
13-6-7. 13-7. 13-7. 7-7. 13-6.
13-7.
Off. Drive it up. At 13-6 here.
Up 13-6.
At 13,700. 13-6 now 7. And now 8. At 13-8. Now 9-9-9. Now 14.
13.9 is the current bid. Looking for 14. Got the 14. 14.5, another $500 jump. This guy wants the car and he wants to blow out his competition.
Now 14.7, 14.7, 14.7. Give me 15 grand. At 14.6 now 7, 14.7, 14.6 now 7, 14.7 got. Now 14.8, 14.8, 14,888 now 14.8. The reserve's off. You're buying it today.
14,700 looking for 14.8.
Sold at Edelman. Sold 14,000.
Sold for $14,700.
Selling cars today in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Good price for that AMX.
Sold.
Next, a 1978 Silver Anniversary Corvette.
Now, the original Corvette was introduced in 1953, making 1978 the silver anniversary year for Corvettes. So what did Corvette decide to do? They decided to make a silver anniversary edition of the Corvette. It's available with the L82 engine. This car does not have that. This car is a regular silver anniversary car, not the car with the big engine or the L82 engine. Now, a lot of people saved these cars and they were collector cars basically from new. This one, however, has been used and it's got a pretty good amount of use to it. Under the hood, we can see we've got some really need some detailing things. In the interior, a lot of wear showing. Same with some paint problems on the car. Now, these cars are all over the map price-wise. The expensive ones can go well into the 20s, but you can often find them cheap. How cheap? Well under $10,000, and that's what I'm expecting to find on this car. Let's look for a price well under $10,000 on this 1978 Corvette Anniversary Edition. Now, on any collector car, at any collector car auction, really presentation is everything. And under the hood here, the owner or somebody representing the owner, I guess, has left this hood open. And it's really not very good looking. It looks like a car with a lot of miles. You can compare this to some of the other cars that we look at where they're so well detailed that you could pretty well eat off the engine block. This car looks like it's been used and used hard. So that's going to make a difference in price. It's the little things that make a little bit of difference. It's the big things that make a big difference. And these are some of the little things pointing out here. Let's go see what happens when this car goes up for sale.
Now, this car is just none too nice. Auctioneer's trying an unusual technique. He's saying, put your hand up if you would take that car if he gave it to you. Well, now he says I know he'll take it for free, so He started it at $2,000. Got an old auctioneer's trick. For people interested in paying attention. At $4,000, looking for 45 and then 5. Got the 45, now looking for 4,750. Got 4,700 and looking for 48. 4,700, not a lot of interest going on here. Can't get the 48. This car's not going to sell.
48.
Yeah.
Close the bidding at 4,700.